We have anybody who would like to ask questions? Yes, Paul. 前面麦克风的前面，工作人员跑过来。
I would like to ask a question to Kishore. Okay, you are Indian, living in Singapore, Singapore citizen. I would like to ask a question. What do you view China and India in the future? Okay, it seems to me they are not get along very well, and a lot of border incidents. Okay, what's your view? Do you think that China and India will get along in the future, or it is because U.S. is pushing India against China? Thank you.
Well, I can tell you that I share your concern, Paul, about the future of China-India relations. Because China-India relations today, they're not bad. They're very bad. Unfortunately, relations were quite good until about, I would say, 4.5 years ago. They were both, in fact, the two leaders who had spent more time meeting each other was the Prime Minister of India, Modi, with President Xi Jinping. But unfortunately, there was an incident in June 2020 in Galwan at the border between China and India where Chinese and Indian soldiers died. And that has set back relations between China and India quite badly. But having said that, I think both sides also realize they have to keep their relations stable. So, for example, even though there are no bilateral meetings between the Chinese leader and the Indian leader, they meet regularly in multilateral settings. So they meet at meetings of G20, they meet at meetings of BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, BRICS. So there are ways in meet. So I think as of now, especially after the election of Prime Minister Modi, now I think both sides are going to try and see if they can stabilize the relationship a bit. India and China will never become close friends, but if they can just have a normal working relationship, then I think that would be okay. That's the best you can aspire to have.
有下一个问题，请举手。We have the next. At the end, 最后面，刚才戴眼镜那位先生。对，他刚对他对就这位先生，麻烦您站起来，让他能看到。
Well, I have a question for Joanna. I think for Asian country, you're saying that you can be friends with both China and the U.S. at the same time. What's your view on the Malacca Strait? Would that be a point of contention in case right now we have economic war and also maybe some tension in Taiwan Strait? But should the case be maybe the military confrontation start to heat up? Would Malacca Strait be a point of contention? I have a second question, but that's for Kishore. For us, we are not in a position of power, not in Taiwan, not in the US, nor in China. So for people like us, more pragmatically, how do we position ourselves, I mean investments-wise, to navigate this tough water for the next 10 years?
Street. I worked in Singapore for 7 years. Malaysia is my second home. I go all the time. Of course, it's one of the major choke points in the world. So when we look at choke points in the world, actually a lot of them are inflamed. Look at Suez Canal, look at the southern tip of the Red Sea, and so on and so forth. So if there are additional tension, because India is also working in occupying one of the islands next to the Malacca Strait. So if there were additional tensions, I think the other plans will be executed or accelerated, such as the Thailand Canal Plan or other plans to bypass the Malacca Strait, which will be quite terrible, to be frank, for Singapore as a very major harbor and free port for the world trade. But there will be other plans, especially for oil and gas transportation and the lifeline of all the transportation. So now if we look at the world around us, there are 3 or 4 major choking points. One is Taiwan Strait, the other is Malacca Strait. And these two, if going into any kind of trouble, then the United States has a new thesis. This is a new playbook. It didn't happen before. The new playbook is the tension across Taiwan Straits is jeopardizing world economy and jeopardizing the flow of goods across the world. And that would be another way of getting international involvement for a potential conflict in Taiwan Straits. And may I just add, this is a new playbook. It didn't happen before. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna. Next question, please. Oh, yes. Sorry.
Yes. Your question, what can people like you do if you have no influence? And I would say it's very important for the public in Taiwan to also understand why is Taiwan in such a dangerous situation. The people must understand this. And some effort must be made to educate them. Because what is tragic here is that it's so easy to avoid war in Taiwan. Very easy. Right? Keep the status quo. But why risk it then? Why try to nibble away and try little things here, little things there, little things there, when they will not in any way enhance your security and in fact endanger your security? So Taiwan needs to exercise a tremendous amount of strategic discipline and being extremely careful if you want to preserve the peace here. But the people must be aware of it. So the people must also be told. And here the advantage we had in Singapore is that the founding generation of Singapore's leaders, and I discussed that in my memoirs, Living the Asian Century, Lee Kuan Yew, Goh Keng Swee, Rajaratnam, they were geopolitical geniuses. Geniuses. And that's how I learned so much from them. And they understood what you need to do, when you need to speak out, and when you need to keep absolutely quiet. Just say nothing. And quite often, in many diplomatic situations, saying nothing is the best thing to do. So Taiwan should therefore learn to take an extremely low profile and be very, very careful of people who fly here claiming they want to defend you. I mean, Nancy Pelosi did an incredible amount of damage to Taiwan. There's nothing positive that came out of her visit, except that she became famous in the United States. So if people like that come to help you, be careful. They only want to use you as a stepping stone for their personal needs. And if you suffer, that's of no consequence.
朋友都知道我是很挑剔的，防晒乳我选 KS 皇家呵护抗光清爽高防晒凝露，因为它有媲美蓝光神盾的抓藻植萃，保护我在阳光下延缓肌肤老化，维持青春弹力，可以防御工作环境里的3C 商品，各种光源对肌肤的伤害，擦起来清爽不黏腻。我特别喜欢它做到海洋友善，365天，天天抗光抗老化，是我的保养日常。你呢？呵护你，呵护全家人，专属你的 KS Royal Care 抗光清爽高防晒凝露。